All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, June 11th. So, a couple days into the trading week, and what first down day for the Dow in several sessions. I'm not going to count them up, but same thing. IWM, SPY, they all SPY finished down just 2 basis points. So. Kind of an interesting day again, in the fact that we're seeing some of the international areas really perform pretty well, and then we come in and we get kind of profit taking on the open. So, a couple observations from this, and I think I went over this in last night's video, but it just seems like the overnight moves are much better, and it's really tough. It's a little bit counterintuitive for some day traders, because I know some day traders, they want to wait for the open to start to establish positions, but it's been really a take your profits on the open and kind of sit and see where things settle in, and then maybe even wait till the end of the day to kind of put some trades on. It just hasn't been one of those. It just hasn't been a market, and it's been they've been the days that it's been where you can kind of jump into positions on the open, and we get a grinding day, or really a day that we kind of continue higher. It's really difficult. Remember, yesterday we continued higher for about an hour, and then just did one of those, basically 360s, or not 360s, maybe 180, we'll call it, and move the other way. So it's a challenging market to trade in those traditional day trader type of methods. I think this, if we go into the spreadsheet, you kind of see where I'm coming from, right? The S&P finished down 2 basis points, but if you look at where it opened and where it closed, that it moved down 70 basis points. Remember, because everything has been gapping up. And the Qs were down 90 basis points. IWM was the one that was kind of even with the Qs and S&P on the open, was up about 50, 60 basis points. And it was up. Yeah, it opened up 70 basis points and finished down 30 basis points. So it reversed 1% during the day. Now, of course, the other thing you could be doing is buying puts right on the open. That's also been a way that you could profit from this situation, or basically selling premium. Selling premium in names. As soon as you get, the open, if you've got some positions, rather than try to get out of them, you could sell some front week or front month premium against your positions, because it seems like the high of the day is right in the beginning. And again, that's not going to be every single day, but it seems like more often, the majority of the days, that's what's happening in the market right now. Maybe we do need a day where we're going to come in and we're down 50 basis points, and that might help the day trading. But I've had the feeling now for a couple days where I'm like, okay, you get past the morning rotation, then that may be it for the day, in terms of opportunities. Again, all depending on how you trade. If you're a scalper and you're okay with going both ways, you're probably, like this type of a market to some extent. And of course, the video is for information purposes only. I'm not giving any advice or recommendations during the video, so completely for information purposes only. But yeah, you could see some things really gonna get hit pretty hard from where they open. I mean, look, the software names got hit hard today. I think more and more is coming out about the Salesforce Tableau software, and it sounds like people are not really liking it. Maybe thinking that Salesforce is really having to differentiate itself to gain to kind of make sure that they're going to be hitting all their marks and so forth, which, making adjustments I don't think is the worst thing, but I think also I'm reading a little bit that they may have overpaid for that deal. So Kramer mentioned on his show last night it took about 7 days from the last time that I think they bought MuleSoft before that kind of flipped around for them. So we'll see. But, I think it dragged down some of the group today. But in summary for this group, I think that's good. It's not good when this group just goes straight up. It's very difficult to get into positions. So I think this group has kind of run its course for the very short time frame, and we'll see if they kind of come back into these names. Also, the FANG stocks. I'm going to actually update this list because I don't trade most of these names anymore. Microsoft, is has been the best performer. Netflix has looks a little bit troubling and has been basically sideways now for months upon months. It ran up right in the beginning of the year, but that's it. Google has regulation trouble, so I've been staying away that one. Same thing with Facebook. Amazon, I think, has been pretty interesting, and Apple's been all over the place too, I think. But notice how all the FANG stocks, all of them were down after the open. So let me just turn down. I've got the TV on a little bit too high. So I want to go over a couple technicals. First of all, in the S&P, if you heard me do the Benzinga, I did a quick webinar for Benzinga. This might be a little bit of a repeat of levels, but again, value areas are giving us some really good levels to basically say to hang out and kind of wait for the next move or the next, or if it's a rejection, so be it. But 28.95, it's a level that I've been talking about now for a couple days. Notice we try to get above there intraday and failed for a second day in a row. Again, I think that's perfectly normal after a decent swing up like this. If we consolidate for a couple more days, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. And then maybe we could possibly break higher. So again, all in all, in the grander scheme, and even with talking about today's price action, how it kind of stunk today after the open. These are all things that you just have to kind of take with the bigger picture and say, oh well, um, all in all, this is not that bad. But we're picky here, so I do bring up the positives and the negatives. So 28.95. If we could get above that level, and if we could get above maybe these intraday highs, what I would be looking at further, again, upside levels, would be this 29.42, or call it 29.43. That would be the next leg. Now, of course, we do have a little bit of an air pocket to the downside too. So the other situation is we could maybe fall back in here and retrace some of this move up, and that's not a bad place either to kind of put some money to work. So you've got a couple things in here that I think you don't have to be positioned too crazy to the long side. I think there's going to be ample opportunities once you get the confirmation. If we fall down here, you can put some cash to work. Some opportunities will reveal themselves in single names, which I'm sure we will find. And if not, we've got possibly the next leg up to 29.43. All right, so that's pretty quick and easy on S&P. So what am I looking at in terms of some single stock names? I'll talk a little bit about Amazon. I think Amazon is, clearly had a nice day yesterday, but we ran right into a virgin point of control. And I'll just wait for Thinkorswim to adjust to this. But where is it? Where is it? Let me try zooming out here. So right here, right, this was the version point of control taken out. It kind of looks like we've got some type of a flag pattern going on. So as long as we maintain, and again, I'll give you some levels here, 1857, we could possibly see a move up to 1920. We do have a couple hurdles to get over on the 5-minute bar. But again, that's 1920, which you can't even see on the screen. The first thing that I would want to see us get over for tomorrow is get through value area 1878, because again, you don't have to worry about these unless we can get above. But you've got that's also at 1896, which is where we just could not take it out. We didn't have enough power. But a choppy day for Amazon after a big couple of days is not the end of the world. Some of the names that I was looking at today, we'll just kind of take a look at Microsoft here for a minute. Again, having these names come in and rest for a few days is not the worst thing in the world. But Microsoft, I would be watching for a move higher tomorrow above 132.50. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I would call it 132.50. Notice we're above value for the week. Square is a name that I've been kind of tracking around a little bit. Notice that we took out a version point of control here. 75 comes up a couple times for me, looking at some levels both on the daily and the weekly chart, right? So if we look at the daily chart, notice that we're trying to break this downward trend. Got the 200-day moving average to deal with as well, which may see some type of volume pickup around there. But 75 is right here. So that would be an interesting level to take profits. Also, if you go to the weekly chart, that 75 level is going to repeat and that's the top of value. So again, that's a nice, decent move. You know, and then maybe take profits at but 75. So I put on a little bit of a trade today in Square. I've been watching this thing move. You got bullish engulfing. You know, remember with technical analysis, by the way, very rarely are you going to catch the exact turn. If you do, congratulations. But I always try to wait for a little bit of confirmation. Another position that we were in today, K-Web did very well on the open. You know, and that's kind of the game plan. Not mess around with something that gaps up and just take your profits. I've got the last portion of the position on, but I put on a short-term calls for 50 cents, and I got out of some of those at 85 today. So I've got the last piece on, and we'll see if we can get those to run a little bit higher. Let's see what China does again overnight. Been very strong the last 2 nights. Let's see, a couple other names to go over. We did see some option activity. We saw some buying in emerging markets. We saw a call buy, a decent sized call buy in what's called MXEF. I think it was about $1 million trade. What is that? It's the underlying index. For remember in options, just like for the S&P, you could either trade SPY or SPX. Well, MXEF is basically the underlying for EEM. If you haven't heard of that before. But someone laid out a pretty nice bet, which is kind of what I've been looking at as some areas in emerging markets. These are September. Notice how it's an opening position. Yeah, a little bit more than 1 million. It was a $4 million trade that went up in MXEF. So again, a lot of institutions are gonna, that's an institutional order. That's not going to be a mom and pop order. But we could look at the technicals on EEM. Sure. I mean, I think we've had it bounced where it needed to on the weekly chart. Maybe we could see a brush up into the point of control. Notice how we started the year below value, and we went to the point of control, stopped. So we're kind of bouncing around like a little bit of a pinball machine. Let's just see how this looks on the daily. So interesting, we actually closed above value for the month of June. So you could use that support 41.92, and you could say, hey, if this is going to be a false move, you could use that 41.98 as your stop price, which is just 10 cents below. All right. BABA, we also went over that a couple times. I think we went over that in yesterday's webinar. Traded that a little bit today, made a little bit of money on that. A few other names to watch. We'll just kind of keep an eye on some of the software names and see how they develop through the week. IGV, don't really like that bar in here. Notice it did not take out this high. I think also the FANG stocks, similar, they did not get through top of value. So this is the FANG stock, the proxy for the FANG stocks, the Internet ETF, 144.13. That would be the next level. Remember, this has got a lot of different positions, a lot of different names, like PayPal is another name in here. PayPal, Visa and MasterCard, would be happy if they consolidated after the breakout too. Remember, this is not a bad thing, right? Breakout, maybe we kind of come in and retest a little bit. Who knows? This may be all we get for PayPal, but looks pretty strong. Support, so where are we? It's trading at 114.60, so support would be 112.07. Just two more names to go over, and then we'll kind of call a day. Skyworks. Saw some calls today. That's been a couple times now we've seen Skyworks calls go up. Notice this is in value now. Maybe you can see a move up further. I don't know if they're buying those Skyworks calls also because Broadcom reports later in the week, but maybe a move up to the 200-day moving averages in the cards. And then I don't love this chart. It's why I didn't take the trade, but WWE saw calls go up again. So you could see it's below value. Maybe you could play this for a counter trend trade up to 78. All right, so we'll leave it there for the day. We'll get the video just under 15 minutes for the day, which is perfect. Have a great night, everybody, and see you guys in the pre-market session tomorrow.